On a cold Polish winter morning, amidst the silence of Warsaw's old town, Cardinal Stefan Wyszyński stood at the window of the episcopal palace. The snow was falling gently, as if the sky was slowly weaving a white shroud over a homeland groaning under the weight of communism. Yet his face held only the steadfastness of a man who understood that his destiny was not just to pray, but to stand like a mountain in the face of tyranny. Born in 1901 in the small village of Zozola, Stefan Wyszyński grew up in a family of believers and was inculcated from an early age with the meaning that the church was more than walls, but the conscience of an entire people. As communism tightened its grip on Poland after World War II, faith was transformed from a blessing into an accusation, and the church from a house of worship into a thorn in the side of the state. In 1948, when he was appointed Archbishop of Warsaw and Primate of the Catholic Church, he knew that his mantle would become a shield, and his silence would be a betrayal. His struggle began, not with weapons, but with words. He preached in crowded churches, speaking of dignity, truth, and freedom, while eyes in the back rows followed his movements, recording his breathing. Cardinal Wyszyński faced the fiercest media campaigns and the most intense attempts at humiliation. The regime sought not only to subjugate the church, but to break its symbol. In 1953, when he insisted on refusing state interference in the appointment of priests, the response came swiftly. He was imprisoned and isolated in a remote monastery, cut off from the world, without trial or any formal charge other than that of honesty. But imprisonment did not extinguish the flame of his message. In his cell, he wrote his memoirs on smuggled paper, prayed, fasted, and penned down the thoughts that would later become beacons of peaceful resistance. He understood, as Christ did in the Garden of Olives, that suffering is part of the path. When he was released in 1956, he emerged from prison not broken, but more radiant, as if he had emerged from a purifying fire. He resumed his role with a new spirit, restoring the church's voice and the people's hope. He stood up to attempts to marginalize religion, refused to reconcile with oppression. With the calm of the wise, he helped protect Poland from dissolution into an ideology that believed neither in God nor in freedom. He was a secret ally of the young worker from Gdansk, Lech Wałęsa, and the Solidarity movement that shook the regime from within. He was a spiritual guide to the young priest Karol Wojtyla, who would later become Pope John Paul II, as he carried the Polish torch to St. Peter's Square. Wyszyński passed away in 1981, but his spirit lives on. His death came just before the declaration of a state of emergency in Poland. As if God had willed to grant the man respite before the storm raged. Today, Poles remember him not just as a cardinal, but as a father of the country, a defender of the faith, and an uncompromising voice.